is there. He's in Arizona at this moment. Gotti, talk to us about the logistics, because earlier this morning when we heard from John McCain, he said it's much more than a wall. You need much more technology. You need drones. This is massive to really get something done.
Yeah, Stephanie, that at this point is the $10 billion question. We don't know how much it's going to cost to build a wall. We don't know what it's going to look like to build a wall, but we can show you a border fence. This is a border fence here. It's about 20 feet tall. This is just one part of about 700 miles of secure border fencing that we have along the U.S.-Mexico border. The rest of the border, 2,000 miles from California all the way to Texas, is mostly unsecured. There is Border Patrol, but there is no border fence. But of course, Donald Trump has said he does not want a border fence. He wants a border wall. And that's the constant refrain that we heard over and over again at his campaign rallies. People chanting, build a wall, build a wall. In this neighborhood, though, and in the border regions, a lot of people that we've spoken to say that they don't think that a wall is going to be particularly effective if it's not patrolled regularly. In fact, just a little while ago, I talked to somebody over on the Mexico side, and he said that it didn't matter if it was a fence or a wall. Same principle applies. They will continue to come over, and he says that they will continue to come under the wall. So there's that. But of course, Donald Trump, President Trump, saying he wants Mexico to pay for this wall. Mexico saying they are not going to foot the bill for this wall. And in fact, some of the Mexicans and some of the immigrants on this side of the border that we've spoken to say they don't want to pay for the wall either, but they are willing to be paid to work on this wall. So there's that.
Okay, Gotti. Hold on, Gotti. Let's just talk about that wall for a moment. I mean, I may have failed the American Ninja course, but even I could climb over that wall. If you're going to have a wall, don't you actually want to have one that does something?
That's right, Stephanie. We've actually, the person I was talking to on the other side, I asked him how long does it take to climb over this wall. He said 15 seconds would be a long time. Residents around here say people can be up and over this wall with bags of drugs in 20 seconds. So, yeah, people just come in here, and the videos that we've seen, they basically just scale the wall by going up with their hands all the way to the top, about 20 feet tall here. So this border fence is not particularly effective when it comes to stopping people from crossing, but there are Border Patrol agents north and south, east and west of us. This whole area is full of Border Patrol agents, and they're the ones that come in.
Okay, Raul's got to jump in here. Raul, you know, whether or not people are core Donald Trump supporters or not, people do believe that there should be borders.
Right.
And I mean, you'd hardly call that even a fence.
Right. And, you know, we can get into discussions about the terminology, whether it's a fence or a wall. Sometimes there's a double fence, who's going to pay for it. But this is the big, I think, one of the big things we're missing here. We do have a crisis on the border. Fact. However, the way what Donald Trump is addressing is the wrong crisis. Right now, illegal immigration is at a 4-decade low. More Mexicans are leaving this country than entering this country illegally. The crisis we have at the border is this flow of Central Americans, many unaccompanied women and children who are not trying to sneak over the wall or around it. They are presenting themselves to immigration agents because they want asylum. That's the crisis. And by the way, only 39% of Americans, I know Donald Trump's base lives for this wall. They chant. Only 39% of Americans say that this is important. So Donald Trump can proceed with this idea, but it's basically for show, a publicity stunt, because we're not having a quote-unquote flood of quote-unquote illegals. We do not have that type of problem at the border right now. There are more people, officers at the border than ever any time in history.
Then if this is, I can hear Charlie saying that's what he does. He does this for show. But then if that's the case, and from some of these things, he is going to need federal funding. He needs Congress's help.
Yes.
What do Republican congressmen do? They might fall in line behind Donald Trump saying, yes, we'll get your cabinet picks through. But you're talking about the Latino community is the largest minority population in the country. You want to get rid of sanctuary cities. You no longer have a Spanish language website, for White House website. And Donald Trump does not have, there's no Latinos in the cabinet or senior White House stuff. So what do Republican congressmen do if a lot of this is for show and they need to get reelected?
Well, first of all, that is the crappiest fence in the world.
It is.
And Donald Trump will build something that will be much more beautiful, and he'll have lots of photo ops standing in front of it, and you'll have the before and after pictures. Republican congressmen, I think, are going to roll over on this one. This is too big a priority for Donald Trump. So far, you actually have some rhetorical pushback on Donald Trump, but have you seen one member of the House or the Senate Senate be willing to stand up against the president early in the term. This is his signature issue. I think it would be very, very hard. Now, I'm old enough to remember when Republicans were, Mr. Gorbachev tear down that wall. I'm old enough to remember when Republicans were concerned about deficit spending. But on this one, I really cannot imagine them bucking him on this.
It is a ridiculous, impractical plan. This is like Dr. Evil. I want a moat. I want sharks with lasers on their heads. It's going to cost us $25 billion.
Sharks with lasers on their heads.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that'll keep people out. Yeah, it's going to be expensive. And the thing I also think about, it's going to cost us $25 billion. There's a lot of commerce, regular commerce, business people along that border, all of whom are going to be affected by this. This is not the #1 priority of a brand new president, or at least not a president who's concerned about his long-term government.
And Stephanie, real fast, just remember, this is the easy part, building the wall. The hard part of immigration reform is what do we do with the 11 million people who are here?
Exactly.
Okay, but that hard part comes tomorrow, and we're living in a world of short-term. So in terms of all of this spending, it's going to be somebody else's bill. It's going to be somebody else's problem tomorrow. Build the wall today. It sure sounds good.
Right.
Nice photo opportunity. Oh, wait, before we go, I don't want to forget this every single day, because we heard this weekend that nobody cares. In case you're watching, Mr. President, I would indeed like to see your taxes. All right, we got to take a break.
Me too.
Next.